Bear down, Chicago Bears fans. We are a mere 48 hours away from the 2024 NFL Draft, where the Bears are expected to take with the first overall selection, Caleb Williams. However, the intrigue is no longer over the number one selection. The intrigue, my friends, is now about what will the Bears do with number nine. Now, number nine has an interesting group of potential prospects, with some even believing that players like Marvin Harrison Jr. potentially tanking themselves in pre-draft rituals, refusing to meet with other teams, refusing to do refusing to do a lot of different things, and hedging himself against being placed in a situation that he does not prefer. And there's multiple rumors going around that others are doing the same, including Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, of course, uh, really just kind of challenge people to say, hey, I am the first selection. There is no other first selection, and that is it. So it is expected that the era of King Caleb will start in 48 hours for the Chicago Bears. And in fact, it is probably already true that the contract's drawn up, ready to go, and may even be signed at this point. You have no idea until we get there. But in the meantime, we're going to break down the most likely prospects. And look, drafts are interesting. There's any number of things that could happen. But to get an idea of what the Bears big board looks like, we're going to cover a few scouting reports on Chicago Bears potential candidates at that number nine position and see where they are. And in fact, in my draft today, I dropped way down in order to try to improve, in my opinion, the long term viability of the Chicago Bears through the draft, just to test and see whether or not there were good moments and opportunities. Spoiler alert, I did not get Jackson Powers Johnson, but I'll show you exactly what happened. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and let's kick this off. The Bears' clear choices so far, I kind of try to throw them out on the screen right now. You can see, of course, Caleb Williams. You've got Rome Odunze, which is, by the way, I put him ahead of Marvin Harrison because it wasn't really a ranking system, but I thought that Rome Odunze was probably the most likely scenario. So he was the first name that came to mind at the number nine selection. But then I put in Marvin Harrison, Brock Bowers, Malik Neighbors, and then Joe Alt. However, I've got some interesting scouting reports that have really kind of come out, and actually I was fascinated by what I saw in the draft trackers, um, the simulators, if you will, as it sort of ranked out some of the better players by prospect. It does not play out the way that you think. We have a certain way that we consider or that we think of this draft, but it does not seem to play out the same way as what we would kind of think. So, shout out to Caleb Williams is him for being here. Make sure you hit that like button on the way in, and shout out to Lord Crimson for being here for it every single day. I appreciate you guys. So let's start off with what to me happened to be the biggest part of the news, and we're going to go down from number one, and we'll kind of flip through the range here. The hot board for the Chicago Bears has not been released, but based on information people are giving or quote unquote leaking to sources, then we might have a good idea of what it looks like. With the number one and clearest cut choice being Caleb Williams, number two being Marvin Harrison Jr., number three being Malik Neighbors, number four, Rome Odunze, number five, Joe Alt, number six, Johnny Newton, defensive tackle from Illinois. Number seven, Dallas Turner. Number eight, Byron Murphy. Number nine, Olu Fashanu. Number 10, Brock Bowers. Number 11, Jared Verse. Number 12, J.C. Latham. Number 13, Quinion Mitchell. Number 14, Talise Fuaga. And number 15, Chris Jenkins, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. In fact, Chris Jenkins is, despite not really showing up on a lot of radars as an early draft choice, even though we've seen the tail of the tape, Actually comes in quite a bit ahead of Jackson Powers Johnson, who comes in quite a bit ahead of Zach Frazier. There are a lot of little pieces here that seem to be missing on the Bears big board, if you will. So interesting times, interesting times. But let's look at this is the ranking system, by the way, of the NFL.com. This is NFL.com's ranking by player grade of the top players in the draft, with Malik Neighbors being number one on this hot board, Marvin Harrison being number two, Odunze being number three, tied with Caleb Williams at four. Number five is Jaden Daniels. Number six is Jared Verse. Number seven, Dallas Turner. Interesting to see Jared Verse ranking out higher than Dallas Turner. Also, Brock Bowers coming in just below them. Then J.C. Latham as the first offensive tackle. Then Latu, Drake May, Chop Robinson. And then we get to Joe Alt. And then we've got Talise Fuaga, Byron Murphy, Troy Fatanu, Quinion Mitchell, Brian Thomas, Graham Barton, Terrion Arnold. Those are your top 23 picks for the 2024 draft. Interesting group of people, in fact. So number one among them, of course, King Caleb. Caleb Williams, prospect grade coming out at 6.74. Is this an indicator of is he the guy? Is he worth it? By all measures, he would appear to be elite. Next gen stats, if you look over here, basically says that as far as next gen statistics go, he rates at a 96, which makes him an elite player, and NFL.com considers him to be a year one starter. Those are important things to consider when we're doing this. Now, the tail of the tape says he's 6'1", 214 pounds with a 32-inch arm and 9.75-inch hands. His production score is a 98, athleticism 89, for a total score of 96 in the next gen stat breakdown. Now, quick bio for Caleb Williams as we get to the point here. In 2021, freshman All-American, honorable mention All Big 12, played in 11 games, started the final seven, went 136 for 211, 64.5% completion ratio, 1,900 yards, 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He rushed 79 of 442, 5.6 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns, replacing Heisman hopeful Spencer Rattler. And then he moves on into USC, becomes the Heisman Trophy winner at USC, Walter Camp Player of the Year, Maxwell Award winner, Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year, first team All Pac-12 Conference, first team Associated Press All-American, led the FBS with a school record 42 passing touchdowns, ranked third in FBS with a school record 4,537 passing yards, and fourth with school record passing efficiency, 168.5. It's 333 of 500, 66.6 completion ratio, and only 5 interceptions. And then he set the single season records for quarterbacks with 382 rushing yards, selected to the All-State AFCA Good Works team, and started all 14 games. And then in 2023, he was an honorable mention All Pac-12 Conference finalist for the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, ranked top 10 in FBS in passing efficiency, 30 passing touchdowns, 9.4 yards per attempt, 3,633 passing yards, led the team with 11 rushing touchdowns, and started all 12 games, and started the Caleb Cares Foundation for anti-bullying, mental health awareness, and youth development. And so when you're looking, by the way, at something that gives you a testament to the character, and I know some of you guys don't like it, but when you see him coming out here and doing things that you don't like, these are the people that he's supporting. The people who are being bullied, mental health awareness, and youth development. Those are the reasons that he does some of the things that you think are controversial. In fact, they are not. So As it goes here in the overview, his play is highlighted by a rare escapability paired with the talent to exploit defenses once the play breaks down. He's not tall, but he is well built with an arm to challenge defenses across the field. He can be a high impact playmaker on the go or an effective pocket passer when he allows himself to trust his eyes on second and third read. He can improve his accuracy and placement on intermediate and deep throws, but he's unlikely to be known for pinpoint accuracy. It is admirable that he looks to keep his eyes up and makes throws outside the pocket, but he'll make things easier on himself early in his pro career by becoming a more decisive scrambler to move the sticks and carry on to the next set of downs. Williams is tremendously talented, but often bites off too much responsibility and plays off schedule. He has a good chance to hit new heights with his surrounding cast he trusts, but greater self-discipline and well-structured offense might be needed to help him become a quarterback who can elevate a franchise to championship contention. So that's the general overview of Caleb Williams, with his strengths being forced to keep his team in games with high-end production and did so, better consistency projected with pro targets who separate, rapid fire transition from fake to throw on RPOs, twitchy release helps generate heat on drive throws, puts enough pace on the ball to challenge safeties to a variety of spots, will reset his pocket to create better throwing angles, much improved at getting air under deep throws in 2023. Touchdown to interception ratio 46-1 in the red zone since the start of 22 season. Guys, listen, this is important. When we're looking at a number that tells you a testament of Caleb Williams, 46-1 touchdown to interception ratio in the red zone since 2022. This guy, this is a person who performs under pressure. So say what you will, we did not get that from the previous regime. We did not get this sort of production. However, we're going to actually look at some stats that say Caleb Williams appears to be inferior to our former quarterback, Justin Fields, when it came down to a lot of these different statistics that we look at, including like quarterback rating, stuff like that. So there are still some questions, and there are reasons for people to still be asking questions, despite that we see the product on the field and we understand that Caleb Williams just seems to be built a little bit different. Keeps his eyes and arm alive when leaving the pocket. Rare talent to feel pressure, escape, and extend plays. He's averse to playing throw and catch football on schedule. These are weaknesses. Eyes can become sticky and sluggish working through progressions. Must learn to throw with better anticipation on the NFL level. Hero ball mentality creates indecisiveness and inconsistent decision making. His disconcerting deep ball accuracy and quarterback friendly offense will throw on the move unnecessarily rather than platform up, and passes up easy scramble yardage for more challenging throws. So when we see it, we see the talent on the field, but we also need to be aware of and recognize that there is most likely going to be some growing pains that he's going to go through as we get into the start of training camp. Hopefully, we can see people like, I think it's Kerry Joseph is the quarterback coach. Hopefully, we can see Shane Waldron and Kerry Joseph really start to come through with Caleb Williams and really start to put him together and create a little bit more of a complete quarterback by the time we get to the moment where we're really going to end up needing Caleb Williams. Now, again, this was Caleb Williams. This was not what we're really here to talk about. I just wanted to give you a breakdown of how that broke down with Caleb Williams. Now, what we're doing at this point is we are looking at the prospects that could be available at number 9. And we're going to start off with the one that most probably is not going to be available. However, he did rank higher. So we're going to go ahead and, despite my misgivings about doing this, we're going to go with him first. And that is Malik Neighbors. So Malik Neighbors graded out better than it did not in next gen stats grade out better than these guys, but as a prospect grade, he graded out at 6.86, making him the number 1 overall player in this NFL draft, coming in at 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. He is a junior from Youngsville, Louisiana. Prospect grade of 6.86, projected to be a year 1 starter with a next gen stat rating of 92, meaning an elite level. His production score is first. His athleticism score is 9th, and his total score comes in at 92. But notice the athleticism score is estimated because he didn't go to this because he didn't do what they wanted in the combine the way that they wanted it done. 2021, he was a freshman all SEC, played in 11 games where he had 417 receptions, 14.9 yards, 4 touchdowns receiving, and then he had 4 end arounds, if you will, 5.8 yards rushing. Number 22, he led the SEC with 72 receptions, second with 1,017 yards, 3 touchdowns, played in all 14 games with 11 starts. In 2023, first team Associated Press All-American, first team Biletnikoff Award finalist for the nation's top wide receiver, ranked second in the FBS with 1,569 receiving yards, 17.6 yards per catch, tied for third with 14 receiving touchdowns, led the SEC with 89 receptions, started all 13 games, set school record with 189 career receptions. This guy has done a fantastic job overall. And I mean, here we are. Played the first half of the team's Quest Bowl win over Wisconsin to set the school record for career receiving yards, and then sat out the second half to keep himself healthy for the draft. Now, that's a personal accomplishment. Probably not the best thing for you to see, but he wanted the record. So, shout out to him. I would like to see these guys playing in bowl games. I realize the reason and the danger and why you don't want to do it, but also I want to see the guys play. You know what I mean? So Neighbors is the next big thing coming out of the LSU receiving room, with pure explosiveness and talent to be mentioned in the same breath as former LSU stars in the league today. Despite a lack of polish and precision as a route runner, his gliding movements and speed alterations seem to disguise the top-end speed and separation potential that await opposing coverage. He's a bouncy leaper with the athletic ability to make impossible catches possible. He tucks away accurate throws and displays the toughness and plays strength to fight through tight window victories over the middle. He needs to address his tendency to track and play deep throws with finesse, or his early advantages will turn into 50-50 battles. He can play all 3 receiving spots and has the profile to become a productive, high-volume target overall. His skill traits need to be productive effectively on all 3 levels as a pro. Glides and burns past defenders deep or pushes them into retreat for easy stop routes. Changes speeds inside the route to tilt defenders off the break point. Good hand fighting and post-up talent to win position battles against big corners. Frames up defender to finish contested catches underneath. Premium leaper with contortionist talent with in-air adjustment on jump balls. Catches off-frame balls with strong sudden hands and has grab-to-go acceleration to catch it short and take it long. His weaknesses: runs free into big spaces, but needs additional route schooling. Inconsistent hip sync to snap routes off at crisp angles. Would benefit from eliminating wasted motion in early phases of the route. Lackadaisical to capture positioning and stack coverage behind him. This is one source that says this. Jamar Chase was more of a dude physically, and Justin Jefferson was already really skilled when he came out. But you can see some flashes of both of those guys in the way Malik Neighbors plays. So Malik Neighbors going to be out there, most likely not going to be in a situation in which he's an easy get. It looks like he's going to be at least the second guy off of the board in wide receivers, so may not be falling down too far. A lot of people really enamored with what they see in Malik Neighbors, so we may not see him come available, and we certainly, most probably, I should say, are not going to see this man right here, Marvin Harrison Jr., 6'3", 210-pound receiver, coming out of Ohio State, hometown Philadelphia, PA. Arms 31.78, hands 9.5, 6.83 year one starter grade. Next gen stats say 88. Have him good. Both have him as a year one starter, but the rating starts to go down a little bit on these next gen stats with a 94 production score and a 73 estimated athleticism score. And by the way, I have a feeling that this would probably be a lot better if he had actually gone to the combine and done it. So, he's got a low ranking in the combine because he just didn't go. So a score overall, 88, making him the fourth receiver in. 2021 played all 13 games with a start in the Rose Bowl, set Rose Bowl records with 3 touchdown receptions, sparking the team's comeback win over Utah. In 2022, he was the first team as AP All-American, Big Ten Conference Receiver of the Year, first team All-Big Ten Conference, finalist for the Biletnikoff Award, ranked 4th in the FBS with 14 touchdowns and 6 with 1,263 receiving yards. Started all 13 games. In 2023, he won the Biletnikoff Award. Despite protests, by the way, from Malik Neighbors and Odunze, he won the Biletnikoff Award. He was the first team AP All-American, Big Ten Conference Wide Receiver of the Year, first team All Big Ten Conference, led the team with 67 reception, tied for third with 14 touchdowns, ranked 10th with 1,211 yards, and started 12 games. First player in school history to have two 1,000-yard receiving season. And his father, of course, Marvin Harrison, one of the all-time receivers in the game, and a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Harrison comes from an impressive bloodline and possesses similarities that made his father, Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison, special. He can run, but isn't a burner. What makes him tough to handle is his consistent play speed paired with quality salesmanship in his routes. He's able to uncover no matter where he's aligned or which part of the field his assignment takes him to. He is capable of finishing catches in a crowd. Harrison can be a sudden while working possession routes, and he's well qualified to beat any opponent with his ball skills in the battle heads deep. Harrison is a touchdown champ with a variety of ways to excel, and that characteristic figures to follow him into the pros. He has the traits and tools to win in all three phases on the route and all three levels on the field. He's a pedigree prospect and a day one starter with high-end production expected. Strength, he's an exceptional production as a high-volume, high-impact target, runs routes with threatening pace, and is sudden out of breaks, good rhythm and body control, snapping off comeback routes, uses speed changes to create decisiveness in cornerbacks, elite scramble talent to uncover wide open when plays break down, plays with pro feet working on boundary catches, highly focused deep ball tracker with above average ball skills, can make late body adjustments with sudden hands to bring in the catch, elegant leap and spin to catch, throws his defenders over his head. Weaknesses, room for improvement with release against the press, allowed grabby coverage, too much leeway in disrupting his routes, needs better route efficiency without much stutter stepping, and might not have enough blow-by speed to consistently outrun NFL corners, and had uncharacteristic drops in 2023. So, but I mean, by the way, these are the grades right here that are being given out. So, we're talking about year one starter. We don't have anybody who graded out, by the way, as a perfect prospect at this point. And we didn't have anybody who graded out as perennial All-Pro or Pro Bowl talent, with the closest being Malik Neighbors, of course. So everybody else, we got year one starter grades. So when they say generational talents in this draft, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But those two guys probably going to be off the board. The one that most likely will be available is this man right here, Rome Odunze. Prospect grade 6.74 out of Las Vegas, 6'3", 212 pounds. Grades out pretty good when you compare him to Marvin Harrison. And next-gen stats show him to be elite. 32.25-inch arms, 9.25-inch hands, smaller hands, by the way, than most of these other guys. Production score 91, athleticism score 85 at the combine, and this was estimated. Total score of 91. Combine results 4.45 1.52 on the 10-yard splits. Vertical jump of 39 inches. Broad jump 10 feet 4. 3-cone drill 6.88. Shuttle 4.03. In 2020, played in all four games with one start. He had 72 yards receiving. Started 7 of the final 9 contests in 2021 with 41 catches, 415 yards, 4 touchdowns. 2022, third team AP All-American, first team All Pac-12, ranked 10th in the FBS with 1,100 yards, 75 reception, 15 yards per catch, and 7 touchdowns. And then in 2023, the breakout, first team AP All-American, first team All Pac-12, finalist for the Biletnikoff Award, led the FBS with 1,648 yards, 17.8 yards per catch, ranked 6th with 1,781 all-purpose, tied for 6th with 92 receptions and 13 receiving touchdowns, played in all 15 games with 14 starts. Team's offensive skill player of the year and captain, suffered broken rib and punctured lung, recovering an onside kick versus Arizona, stayed in a hospital overnight and rested over the bye week before playing in the team's win over Oregon. Team captain with good size and elite ball skills. He consistently dominated his competition. While most receivers look to open up separation windows with speed or route running, Odunze seems to relish jump balls and contested catches. And by the way, there are highlight reels of this. He is really big on these contested catches. He shines in all aspects of ball skill, including positioning, body control, hand strength, timing, and mid-air adjustments. Has a tendency to cruise through routes rather than working with attention to detail. He is a decorated high school sprinter, so speed should not be an issue in the pros. He's a high volume target on the next level that play callers can utilize to mismatch finesse cornerbacks. Elite ball skills are often the secret sauce of top NFL receivers, so it should be no surprise if Odunze is a day one starter who becomes a top flight wide receiver. His strengths are carries the frame and play strength of an NFL wide receiver one, lacks rare speed, but should be considered a playmaker, good separation talent, early eyes on the football to find positioning as quickly as possible, all-star ball winner with magnificent body control and acrobatic ball skills, brilliant job of bodying defenders and controlling air traffic, is going to be too strong and too skilled for some defenders, catches with strong, reliable hands in his frame. Weaknesses here: rushes through early stages of his double moves, uptight and gradual in top of the routes. By the way, it's nitpicky on some of these as we look at these weaknesses when we're kind of listening to what these guys are saying. Attention to detail is missing on some of his routes. Too content making 50-50 battles rather than operating at top speed, and room for great effort as a run blocker. Sources tell us team captain, good leader, tough, dependable. Penix would just fling it up in the air, and Odunze just went and got it. He's my favorite player on the West Coast. In fact, for those of you that were looking for a comparison, a lot of the comparisons that came out, Megatron. So a lot of people looking at this guy as the next CJ in the NFL. Now, moving on, another guy probably available at this point is going to be Jared Verse. This is my favorite defensive player in the draft. 6.73 grade. Next gen stats are 84. Good. 6'4", 254, just exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for that big, lean guy coming off of the edge. This is what Maddie Eberflus likes. 33 and a half inch arms and almost 10-inch hand. Production score of 81, athleticism 79, total score of 84, 4.58 40-yard dash, 35-inch vertical, 10.7 broad jump, 31 reps at 225 on the bench press. In Albany, he redshirted. Then he added 40 pounds of muscle mass during the pandemic in 2021, all Coastal Athletic Association. Then he moved to the ACC, where he became a first-team All-SEC, 16.5 tackles for loss, 9 sacks in 12 games. And then in 2023, 9 sacks again, 41 tackles, 12 and a half for loss, 3 passes broken up, a blocked kick. So, I mean, this guy was second-team Associated Press All-American. So the analysis is this: talented edge rusher with field demeanor, athleticism, and a skill set to rack up statistics in key categories fairly early in his NFL career. Verse dominated at Albany, then showed an ability to do the same at Florida State. He's twitchy and compact with explosiveness, featuring at the point of attack in his upfield burst as a pass rusher. He's great with his hands and does a nice job of diagnosing plays quickly and staying out of the clinches of offensive linemen looking to run tackles deep in the pocket. He can play up or down and should be in consideration for all defensive schemes. Looking to make a safe, high impact edge. Thrives with winning first step and unstoppable energy, quick to close the distance and mitigate his length disadvantage, controls bigger blockers at the point of leverage, hands, and power. Instinct allows for rapid diagnosis and attack on play development, advanced GPS into the pocket with multiple available rush routes, uses sudden combative handwork to beat the punch and grease the edge, bend and strength to corner tightly to passer at efficient angles, instantly converts his twitchy get-off into a menacing bull rush. He lacks ideal size and length that teams covet, unable to anchor deep when drive blockers get into him, below average footwork and wrap up leads to missed tackles. Offensive tackles stall his rush plan with a firm punch, and his moments where rush wears down against size. So there are some things that maybe we'll need to see him work on, but he's going to be, according to an NFL executive, one of the best defensive players to come out of this draft, leading us to who is largely predicted to be the number one guy and potentially still available at that 9 position, Dallas Turner, clocking in at 6.72 with an 84 next-gen stat grade, 6'3", 247, 34 and 3/4 inch arms, and 9.78 big hands again. Overall score of 84, 4.46 40-yard dash, and a 10.7-inch broad jump. He was a five-star prospect coming out of high school, freshman all SEC, played in 15 games, 30 tackles, 10 for loss with 8.5 sacks. 2022, 37 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks. And then this year, first team All-American, SEC Defensive Player of the Year, first team All-SEC, finalist for the Chuck Bednarik Award, and the Lot Impact Award for Integrity, Maturity, and Performance Athletics, Community, and Tenacity. Led the team with 14.5 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, started all 14 games. So long and athletic with the explosive traits needed to become an impactful NFL pass rusher. Turner's first step quickness and elite closing burst are important building blocks, but he needs to work on his process from point A to point B. He hasn't learned to create the space and angles needed to consistently attack the edges, but that should come with a better hand development and a more diversified approach. By the way, that's what we're looking for out of all these guys. We're looking for the prospect that's going to be able to do what needs to be done. He's added 20 pounds since coming to Alabama. He struggles at times to stack and shed run blockers to set a firm edge. His frame and game are much less developed than Will Anderson's coming out of Alabama last year, so it could take him time to make his mark as a starting 3-4 outside linebacker. He has a history of playing for winning programs in high school and college. Sudden hands are first to blockers' frame as an edge setter. Disruptive initial quickness to beat blocks and stop runs in the backfield. Speed and stride to stress offensive tackles to race to the rush turn. Builds tremendous momentum at the turn. It allows too much space. Possesses at least elite. God damn, I can't even say elite right now. Closing burst, chasing down backs and sacking passers. Athleticism to soak up play extending quarterbacks with his secondary rush. Able to peel off and drag running backs into the flat for coverage. Then you have below average anchor to prevent being displayed on force. Needs better play strength to improve block take on. Doesn't always play with ideal urgency when not challenged. Takes too many shots at winning rush with speed to power. Needs to become a more skilled hand fighter at the top of the rush, and rush is currently missing instincts and counter associated with high sack production. But he is such a talented athlete, and if an NFC executive thinks that he's really going to have that. And then we lead to Brock Bowers, also most likely available at this position. And let's stress here, prospect grade of 6.71, but he ranks out as one of the highest in the next gen stats as an elite prospect at 96, 6'3", 243, 32.3 arms, and 9 3/4 hands. 99 production score, 86 athleticism for an overall of 96. Second team All-American, won the Sean Alexander Award as the nation's top freshman. First team All-SEC in 2021. 56 reception, 882 receiving yards, and a school record 13 touchdowns. In 2022, he was a second team All-American again, first team All-SEC, won the Mackey Award as the nation's top tight end, finalist for the Lombardi as the nation's top lineman as a tight end, led the team with 63 receptions, 942 yards, 7 receiving touchdowns, played in all 15 games with 14 starts for the national champions. In 2023, he won the John Mackey Award again. First player to ever win back-to-back. First team All-American, first team All-SEC, finalist for the Lombardi Award, led the team with 56 receptions, 714 yards, 6 receiving touchdowns, started 10 games, missed 4 games with an ankle injury, had tightrope surgery to return at the end of the year. So basing it on his production at about 10 games, if he had played all 14 games, most probably another 1,000-yard or close receiving total. So fantastic guy, big-time player here. Comparisons to George Kittle, prolific pass-catching tight end with a rare blend of acceleration, speed, body control, and hands that could breathe new life into a stale NFL offense. Has a high-volume target at Georgia, led the team in receiving yards in all 3 of his college season. He plays with relentless pacing as a route runner, allowing him to beat man coverage. Also, he's highly effective at exploiting zone pockets for first down and chunk plays. Bauer's secret sauce might be his ability to rip through tacklers and pile on yardage after the catch. He's an adequate move blocker and gives effort at the point of attack, but that's the one area where his game falls short to George Kittle for comparison purposes. He's an explosive athlete, but lacks premium measurables typically associated with early first rounders. Might take a year for him to acclimate to defenders who are bigger, faster, and longer, but he appears destined to become a highly productive NFL player with a Pro Bowl upside. He gets off the snap, capable of getting to his top speed quickly, runs routes with controlled strides, preserves play speed, and begins to separate when turning routes. Talented to beat man coverage linebacker on the next level. Hand catcher operating with good coordination and technique, exceptional toughness and contact balance with the ball in his hand, and gets hands into proper position as a run blocker. And his weaknesses needs to be more forceful when fitting up his blocks. Inconsistent sustaining run blocks in space. Will need to improve route savvy underneath. Limited catch radius and came out of the wrong side of contested catches in 2023. He doesn't have Kyle Pitts' freaky measurables, so he may not carry the same grade, but he's going to keep doing what he's doing now because the way he plays translates well into the NFL. So could be that this guy represents a perfect fit into any, especially the Bears offense going forward. Now, the number one offensive tackle coming off the block here actually grades out as J.C. Latham, despite the fact that many of us have been in the pocket of Brock Bowers for a long period of time. 6'6", 342 pound, 35 and 1/8 inch arms, and 11-inch hands. 6.71 prospect grade, 87 next gen stats. 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Played 14 games as a reserve OG on special teams. Started all 13 games at right tackle in 2022, and second team AP All-American. Started all 14 games at right tackle. Bulldozer in human form with upper and lower body power to forcibly evacuate run lanes and instantly upgrade a team's ground attack. Latham's body type is girthy. He has an elite drive blocking talent. He has operated in a variety of run schemes, but will be an average move blocker both laterally and when climbing to the second level. His pass sets are well balanced with good initial quickness and active hands. He unleashes lefts and rights and mirrors effectively after contact, but gets beaten by inside moves when he oversets. He has the length and hand strength to shut rushers down, but needs to become more comfortable setting diagonally rather than vertically to avoid sinking too deeply into his own pocket. Latham's size, strength, and talent give him a chance to become a heralded right tackle or Pro Bowl caliber guard. He's built like a big NFL guard, but protects like a tackle. He's quick into pass sets, maintaining posture and balance through the rep, sinks feet with active independent hands, firm against hand and consistent arm strength, possesses true knockback pop with heavy hands, turns early advantages into quick knockouts with furious finishes, upper body power to catch, turn, and seal play side edge setters, and then grip strength allows him to save run blocks and start to slip away. He's got average recognition in the weakness category and plan for pre-snap pressure looks, open outside shoulder early and sets too deeply in the pocket, beaten inside by oversets and down the middle by long arm stick and drive. Oversets to speed, can be beaten inside and long arm, can be impatient into first contact as a run blocker, causing him to lunge below average lateral quickness for backside cutoff blocks. Inconsistent entry angles make it tougher to seal and sustain his work. This class is deep at tackle, and he's going to end up being the best of the group. They are all going to get better, but he and Joe Alt are the only ones I see operating at a pro level, and Latham is better than Alt, according to an NFC personnel executive who has not been named, which leads us, by the way, to Joe Alt, the final guy on our list here, who checks in at 6'9". Holy shit. 321 pounds, 10-inch hands, 34 and a quarter inch arms, 6.49, will become a good starter within 2 years, and next gen stats of 87, meaning he's got good potential. These are his numbers: 5.05, a little slow, but not too bad for an offensive tackle. Vertical jump 28, broad jump 9.4. This guy's just a monster. 27 bench press reps at 225 pounds. Not Jared Verse level, but still a talented guy. First team All-American, started all 13 games at left tackle in 2022. 2023 was a finalist for the Outland First Team All-American, started 12 games at left tackle. His father, John, played at Iowa as an offensive lineman and was a first-round pick by Kansas City in 1984 before earning 2 Pro Bowl selections. Brother Mark played hockey at Minnesota and in the NHL. So, long-limbed team captain with NFL quality tackle play coursing through his vein. He played a disciplined brand of football, avoiding penalties and working with fluid transitions from entry to sustain to finish as a run blocker. He's a capable drive blocker with foot quickness to play on the second level. struggles to bend enough to compensate for his height, and ends up playing with waist bending and forward leaning that can hamper his anchor against bull rushers. He has quick hands and outstanding arm extension, promoting his ability to sustain, block, and redirect pass rushers. He's a good technician who carries himself with confidence from snap to snap. He clearly has the talent to be a day one starter on the left side, but he'll need to clean up his habit of leaning forward, or he could be in for some bumpy action early on. His father, of course, being John Alt, Pro Bowl tackle. Brother Mark Alt was an NHL player, created pre-snap plan for combo blocks and is rhythmic, getting from 1 to 2, adjusts stride length and footwork to capture first contact, maintains feel and keeps feet moving to mirror and ride opponents to sustain blocks, scores early with stiff right hand into the rusher's inside shoulder in pass protection. Feet are fluid and indistinctive to consistently mirror edge rushers, uses arm extensions to successfully steer arc runners and inside counters off track, technically sound with good instincts to withstand attacks from twist. As for weaknesses, gets off the snap with excessive forward lean in an attempt to lower pad level. Leverage-based opponents can stand and stall drive blocking attempts. Too much waist bending and not enough chin tuck in protection posture. Beaten by late movements when feet start to sink too deep. High center of gravity could make it hard to find emergency breaks against NFL power rushers. I don't love the Mike McGlinchey comparison because I thought Mike was a better pure run blocker, but Alt is just a better all-around prospect. I think Eric Fisher is the better comparison to who this guy is, and that's an AFC personnel executive. So that's it. Those are the guys. I don't think that there's really anybody else that we're looking at. The guys that we're going to be looking at that we would want to see on this team are pretty clear here. Now, I didn't include J.C. Latham. I did include Joe Alt because I think that even though we're getting a higher rating out of this, I think it's clear that the Bears are probably preferable to Joe Alt at this point. But J.C. Latham has been here on a visit, just an FYI. So Rome Odunze appears to be the guy. Brock Bowers, potentially. If Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors slip down, that does change. I think the order of operations here for the Chicago Bears is going to be number 1 is Caleb Williams. Number 2 is going to be Marvin Harrison. Number 3 is going to be Malik Neighbors. Number 4 is probably going to be Rome Odunze. And then we get to Joe Alt. We probably look at Dallas Turner or something like that's going to be a little bit further down the list. But I think it's pretty clear the order of operations here for the Chicago Bears. So moving on to X, we do have, this is, and look, I mean, again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, if you will, about how this played out. It did not play out effectively, but these were the stats right here of Justin Fields. These were the stats of Caleb Williams. And if you're wondering, yes, Justin Fields graded out as a higher overall prospect than Caleb Williams. So the question would be, does that translate into this next level? And it did not translate into the next level for Justin Fields at this point. But also, guys, if you didn't see this one, this is just, I don't know who made this. But shout out to them because this one is fantastic. We got 2 days left before, boom, this happens. So if you hadn't seen this, by the way, I just wanted to show it to you because it was fantastic. Also, DJ Moore and Cole Kmet are out here doing pictures and getting ready for the 2024 season. So if you haven't already, they are certainly into it, having a good time. It does not look to me like they are bothered by a new quarterback at all. Looks like they're having a lot of fun with it. So, and then finally, Caleb Williams is not the answer. This is from Tim McGrady. And by the way, when I see stuff like this, I always look for what is the ulterior motive. It's pretty easy to find, right? This guy comes out, says Caleb Williams is not the answer for the Chicago Bears. I fully expect continued misery as a Bears fan for, again, fumbling a top draft pick. Then it's terrible on Sundays. And I think to myself, is this guy Justin Fields Maxey? Like, there has to be something to it, right? So then I go to the profile and I see huge sports fan here just trying to keep up the social media these days. Go Blue. So I'm pretty sure if the Chicago Bears drafted JJ McCarthy, old Go Blue here would probably say, oh, that's exactly what they should be doing. That's the greatest potential move that they could possibly make. So, and to be fair, nobody's saying JJ McCarthy is better other than, Michigan fans. But nobody's saying that JJ McCarthy is going to grade out better than Caleb Williams. Is he going to be better? I don't know. I don't know the same about Jaden Daniels. Don't know the same about Drake May. But the highest graded performer is still Caleb Williams. So he's going to be the number one overall guy, whether we like it or not. So it's time to embrace it. And as they say, LFG, baby. Let's effing go. So that's it for that. Rosters haven't changed very much. And then I got my draft in. All right. So to give you an idea of what I did on the draft, I put in some work on this one. Even though despite that, I really sometimes just kind of, I try to go through it and think, I want to do different things every time. So what I did at number 1, of course, was take Caleb Williams. What I did at number 9 was I traded down to, I want to say number 15. And then when I got to number 15, I traded back to number 26 with my goal of getting an offensive tackle or a center or something for the offensive line. That was going to be my goal for the day. I was going to move away from a wide receiver for this period of time, and I was going to see, could I get some more value with this sort of move? So then I ended up with Graham Barton. Now, if you're sleeping under a rock here, Graham Barton is bigger and stronger than Jackson Powers Johnson, starting to come along as the number 1 offensive center coming out of college. So I went with Graham Barton at the number 26, despite the fact that Jackson Powers Johnson was still available. Graham Barton a little bit bigger and grading out better at the center position after the combine. So number 52 was one of the picks that I ended up getting in the first trade, and then number 57 was the one I got in the second trade. So after trading down, I was able to, at number 52, get Patrick Paul, offensive tackle out of Houston. Then at number 57, I was able to reach out for Michael Hall Jr. So I still got MHJ from OSU, just at the defensive tackle position. And then at number 75, I gave up my number 122 pick for that 57 on the trade out. So I ended up with number 75, Roman Wilson. This was the go-to guy for JJ McCarthy for the national champion Michigan Wolverines, and that gives us a viable third option as a wide receiver in the event we're running one tight end sets, which probably not going to do a lot of, but still need that guy. And I'm not sure that Tyler Scott is the answer yet. Then I got a 2025 Rams 6th round pick. So that's how it ended up. That's what we broke it down to. That's where we made it happen. I mean, we had a good we had a nice little run here, making this stuff happen. And I was a little nervous on my way here, playing my way down this list, if you will, because what I don't want to do, and what I'm never looking to do, by the way, I'm never looking to draft out, change the dynamic of the team. Sometimes it's impossible when you're doing these creative sort of drafts, right? So when I drafted down, I was looking, well, you know what? Listen, we're going to have to go with, in my mind, this is what I was looking at when I was doing that. So I started to put a less importance on that third wide receiver, which I still have him sitting there open, but let's put a little less importance on that third receiver, and let's just consider that we're going to be running a 2 wide receiver, 2 tight end, one back set a lot. Like this is probably what our lineup is going to look like a lot. Okay. We're going to be, we might have some variables, and we might have some creativity out of it. And we might do change of pace, but I think this is the set that the Bears operate under right now. And I think that the roster is pretty much solid at this point. The only things you can do is perhaps improve it. And I think somebody like Graham Barton, a more pure center, might be the guy that could do that. And then maybe Patrick Paul on that left tackle position. And I think that we would all, I here's the thing. So what I want to point out, I think everybody's missing some of this stuff. I'd like to see a dominant offensive lineman. What if I said that the problem with this offensive line, Be yourself. There was no way for me to get Brendan Rice over Roman, despite that I would like to as well, because I had to give up that 122 draft pick. And Brendan Rice is currently the number 131 rated player. And there's no way that you reach down from number 75 to the number 131 guy. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to do that. So I would have preferred to do that myself, because I think that would be a great option for Caleb Williams. But it just didn't work out that way. When you give up that 122 pick, then you kind of take yourself out of the potential Brendan Rice race, if you will. It just doesn't make sense to move in the wrong direction and just take some potentially viable prospect just because your guy likes throwing to him early on. Because at the end of it, he's probably not going to be throwing to him. He's probably going to be throwing to Keenan and DJ a lot more. You know what I mean? This is just that would just provide him with a little bit of a soft landing. But getting back to this, the scroll says, looking at this, I'd like to add a dominant offensive lineman. Well, the Bears were the number one rushing offense last year. So, I mean, how dominant do you want your guys to be? Number one, let me point out the things that work against the offensive line. Number one, run blocking. They were the number one run blocking team. And then the question becomes, well, what about pass protection? Justin Fields took 3.23 seconds to make a pass. Okay. That's horrible. QB rankings to throw. These are advanced quarterback stats. So, it's going to take me just a second to pull these up. But I mean, guys, you have to consider that part of the reason that it's part of the reason that there's a problem is not because of the offensive line. It's because Justin Fields couldn't throw the ball. He was taking too long to make these plays. Quarterback holding the ball, NFL. There is a ranking system here. Anyway, the number was 3.23. If you take that out of the rankings here, then you will see that it makes a gigantic difference. And they're not God damn it. You got to unlock data in order to do it. Well, anyway, the guy that holds it too long, or the longest, it was Justin Fields by a long stretch. It was very bad. But here's the thing. And Lord Crimson has a take on it. They played like shit against any real competition. That's because Justin Fields got prohibitively worse against real competition, not because the offensive line got prohibitively worse. They got worse because that's just what they did. You know what I mean? And by the way, I do have there are articles that just kind of crop up here, like this right here. Justin Fields has taken a majority of his sacks with over 4 seconds in the pocket. There's been a long-standing argument about whether or not Justin Fields holds onto the ball too long. Last year, due to an unfathomably poor offensive line and wide receiver core, it made sense for Fields was forced to stand in the pocket for longer. Pundits, including myself, took to blame the rest of the cast and not the quarterback. A new statistic on the topic, however, might open your eyes to his pocket awareness. Okay. Justin Fields has taken 10 sacks this season. This is for 2023. 9 of which have come after 4+ seconds. Since 2021, he has taken 79 sacks with 4+ seconds, 16 more than any quarterback in the NFL. Guys, this is a real statistic and a real number telling you that Justin Fields was a massive problem for this offensive line. We have to think that there's got to be a better way. And how long would it be with Caleb Williams? Is he faster processing? Well, we're told that he's faster processing. Okay. And look, I don't want to hate on Justin Fields because I like Justin Fields. But if you just consider, since 2021, he took 79 sacks where he was in the pocket for over 4 seconds. That is 16 more than any quarterback in the NFL. And not the good ones, by the way. That's the thing. You're not saying, well, yeah, because Patrick Mahomes held it for over 4 seconds, because they don't do shit like that. You know what I mean? It's a rarity. It's a common occurrence for Justin to hold it a long period of time. It's not common for the rest of the good players to do that. So, this is a big problem. And here is, to be fair, like this is not even recent. This is from over a year ago. And there's no doubt the offensive line has gone through more ebbs and flows. But Justin Fields' high sack rate is mostly on him, not the offensive line. This right here are two statistics here. And this is the astronomical sack rate comes despite a strong Bears pass block win rate. Okay. So we're going to use a stat right now that says pass block win rate, PBR. Okay. Look at the pass block win rate. The highest, this is 2022, by the way. This is when you thought that their line was dog shit. Like we're thinking we hate this offensive line. The best offensive line was the Cleveland Browns. The second best offensive lines coming in here, let's just call this a three-way tie, okay? Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and the goddamn Chicago Bears. And Justin Fields had a huge sack rate, even though they were the best PBWR, pass blocking win rate. So this right here is the time that it takes before you get sacked, just shown by dots. Okay. If you look here at Russell Wilson, you see that the longest one was 7 seconds. He had, Russell Wilson holds onto the ball kind of long, but look at the way that this gets weighted on how long it takes before you get sacked. Okay. And be fair here. Justin Fields was the slowest to process by a long shot. Carson Wentz was down here, not exactly as bad as Justin Fields, but you can see here that cluster right there shows that he holds onto the ball probably a little bit too long. You can see right here, Joe Burrow absolutely does not. He doesn't even come close in this range. Kirk Cousins doesn't even come close in that range. Russell Wilson may be a fair comparison, but Justin Fields, clearly the worst performing of all the quarterbacks, and it's not even close. I mean, we're looking at the dots, and we could just, you start to do the math on it. If you just look at simple mathematics on it, then you can see that Justin Fields took way too long to throw the ball. Now, you can make this about the wide receiving core. You can make it about the offensive line. Make it about whatever you want. At the end of the day, Justin Fields was not getting rid of the ball. Now, he was also doing this in 2023 at the same rate, despite the fact that he had DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. And he was getting the ball to DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. Now, he was not getting the ball to Darnell Mooney, and you could say, well, he didn't have time to throw it. Well, that's not exactly true, because here you can see how long he's in the pocket before getting sacked, and he's still taking sacks at this level. And just consider here, if you're a professional, the job is get rid of the ball and don't take sacks. Who does that? Kirk Cousins. Don't hold the ball too long. Don't give up sacks. Throw the ball away if you have to. Do what you got to do. Don't get into this situation. Well, what happened? This is the longest from Kirk Cousins, okay? So there's 6 dots over here above Kirk Cousins. There's 3 over here. There's 3 over here. Justin Fields legit has 14 blocks above what we're talking about. And you could say 10 blocks above, if you want to cut out that little line right there and say, well, it's 10 blocks above. But I mean, guys, this was bad. So we have to at least recognize how poorly Justin Fields was legitimately playing. This is what This is what was happening, and we weren't seeing. And by the way, Squeegee says, I don't care about stats. Well, you should. It's the NFL. I watched our line's inability to pick up line stunts that didn't have to be picked up if Justin Fields threw the ball properly. Let rushers run free. Of course, if he threw the ball, it wouldn't be a thing. Centers can't snap. That's fair. That's actually a fair analysis. However, I mean, when you start to look around, you find out that we did not have the worst centers in the league, despite what you feel like because you watch your team all the time. We were not the worst team, even at center. Can't handle bull rushers, and that still continues every single time. It was Justin Fields. The stats don't lie. You can decide that you don't like the stats. You can decide, well, I don't like them because I like Justin Fields. I mean, fair enough. But he did this. This was not the offensive line doing this. At best, you could say the receivers were not good enough. But then at this point, you're saying that DJ Moore and Cole Kmet were not good enough for Justin Fields to look like a grown-up quarterback. I mean, that's really the logic of it. And I say this as a Justin Fields fan, but you're saying it as a Caleb Williams hater or a line hater, or stats don't matter. Stats are everything in the NFL. They're everything in the NFL because they tell you exactly what a player is doing. And it's telling you right here that Justin Fields was a very subpar quarterback statistically in this league. 10-26 over 3 years. I mean, guys, I don't have to go back through it. I don't like doing it because I like Justin Fields, both as a person and as a quarterback. And I think he got a raw deal here in Chicago. But I have to look at statistics, and the statistics tell me that there are a lot of other quarterbacks on bad teams doing a lot better than Justin Fields when it comes down to it. So, I mean, say what you want, but this is, as a matter of fact, my day job. So, shout out. Anyway, that's the time for the day. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. But now is the time to get out of here. Hope you guys have a great day. We are 2 days away from the draft. We're going to be live for the draft. So until then, we'll see you tomorrow for one more show before the draft. But then it'll be time to bear down because we are going to go live. We're going to watch this draft as it plays out, provide analysis as we can. So, and B, before we go, B Cell says, Justin was behind on development for various reasons, but it's Caleb's time. That's the most fair assessment that you can make. We all love Justin Fields. We all wanted to see Justin Fields come back, but he is not. We have to move on. So bear down.